Let's widen this conversation further by bringing in Chris Doyle. He is a Middle East affairs commentator and the director at the Council of Arab-British Understanding. Chris, good to have you on the show. Are you at all surprised to see this uptick in tensions and violence between the two sides coinciding with the holy month of Ramadan?
This has been predicted. It has been much spoken about, this confluence of Passover, Ramadan, Easter, bearing in mind, of course, that we had the conflagration that began in Jerusalem last April as well. And it's really, you can decide when these tensions started. If you wish to, you can pick your date, but they've been escalating for some time. We've seen, of course, the killings of Israelis in 4 incidents inside Israel by gunmen. But so far this year, 41 Palestinians have been killed. So the tensions are very much there in the occupied territories. We see it the whole time, the increased levels of settler violence. And every time that the focus comes onto the Al-sharif, this brings in Hamas, it brings in other groups, it brings in those Jewish extremists who also wish to try to inflame the situation. And we've seen once again, and it's not the first time, extremist Jewish figures who wish to inflame the situation by sacrificing a goat on the Al-sharif. The Israeli authorities were very clear that this was not going to be allowed to happen, as in the past. They prevented it. But the trouble is, there is no trust. There is no trust on the Palestinian side that the Israeli police will actually deliver on those sorts of promises. So we're seeing a very dangerous and flammable situation where certain parties on both sides are more than willing to escalate regardless of the cost. Yeah. So it's very difficult right now to know where this is going.
Chris, I want to thank you for also bringing up the Passover and the Easter connection. It's a fair connection. You said the situation was dangerous, it's flammable. Do you think that there's concern that this could lead to another intifada then?
I wouldn't rule it out. We've seen, the Israeli authorities after those killings within Israel have mounted really serious military operations in the West Bank, particularly in Jenin and around Nablus. We haven't seen an end to those, of course. So it really depends on that. And the Israeli government at the moment is a coalition that's hanging on by a thread. So it could collapse. And, Israeli elections, if that was brought about, often actually means actually worse news for Palestinians, as all sides in the Israeli political system attempt to demonstrate how tough they are going to be on Palestinians. So yes, it could, but I think that hopefully the sensible actors in this, those who don't want to see really massive escalation, of which there's no winner in this, will try to exert some influence. So one looks to Egypt, Jordan, members of the Israeli coalition who certainly don't want to see this. And we can see if those parties can dampen down these tensions. But of course, with every death, with every injury, with every arrest, it makes it so much harder. Okay. In the end, of course, it's an occupation, and that is the biggest incitement. It's the biggest challenge of all. Whilst that continues, then you can have this violence going on for a long time.
Chris Doyle, thank you very much for joining us here for our top of the show for the breaking news story. I do appreciate the analysis. Thank you.